Hey guys, a very merry unboxing day to you. It's time for another unboxing day. I had the first part thought out. So, yeah, got another order from mycomicshop.com as a result of another auction, of course. So, let's get it straight into that. Hopefully, they don't do the packing peanuts thing again. Did they do the packing peanuts? Okay, we got paper. Oh, thank God. Okay, again, this size of box was not necessary. Jesus. All right, so these are the auctions. This is the stuff I bought around the auctions. Not sure if you can. Yeah, you can. There's a bit of a difference. Okay. Very nice. And big ol' loose pile of comics. All right, so how did we do? Well, which one should we start with here? I guess we can start. Let's do the auctions first, because that propels the whole thing, right? Okay, so first of all, this is Grips. So this is one of the auctions I got. Oh man, what did they do to it? Oh, they like sealed this thing. God damn it. I don't know how to open this. Okay. Jesus. On the one hand, it's nice that they felt the need to, like, yeah, I don't know, wrap this extra tight and everything. On the other hand, like, I'd like to get my shit out. So this is Grips, which is the first Tim Vigil comic book. So, produced 1986. This is straight up underground outlaw comics. So if you're not sure who Tim Vigil is, the thing he's most famous for is Faust, which is essentially Spawn before Spawn, only done rated X. So all of the violence and I'd say all of the sex. I don't know if there's any real sex in Spawn. There sure as shit is in Faust, though. So that all goes through the roof with Tim Vigil. And this actually seems to be. I've never really looked into Grips very much. This seems to be like a proto Faust character because he's got. Faust has like he's got two long blades coming out of each forearm. And the reason I picked this up, I mean, for one thing, it topped out at $6 for 4 issues. And for the other thing, Tim Vigil is very good. He's an excellent cartoonist. He's a guy who cares about the art. His head is completely fucked up, but you know he's a guy who can draw. He's a guy who can't stop drawing. It seems like that's one of those guys. And I thought it would be very interesting to see the early days of Tim Vigil before he's a bit more polished. So yeah, this is back in the day when you could potentially... I beg your pardon? Is this signed? I can't tell who that's signed by. Is that Tim Vigil? That is Tim Vigil's signature. Well, shit. All right. I don't think it talked about that. That's cool. From 1990. Like 4 years after he drew this. That's okay. That's a little extra coolness. I appreciate that. So that will be fun and probably a little harrowing to read. I gotta see if any of these other ones are signed. That first one was not. This one is. Same batch. Same pen, I think. And number 5. I think this is of 5. Oh, you know what? This is a different... Because this is Silver Wolf. Yeah, and Silver Wolf is the first one. This is GMC, so this is the second series, number 5. All right. So no, not so much. Completely different artwork by the looks of it. Still, again, interesting to look at. So who drew this? It's not a bad shot. This is the thing. It's like super indie stuff. But like, you know, the guys are competent. They're not just churning out shit. Artwork by Tim Vigil, it says. Really? Is he just churning it out? Weird. Maybe he's just trying to get it done quick. Okay, and second auction. Oh, you're burying the lead by putting the Iron Fist on top. Okay, yes, it's Iron Fist. More importantly, it's Luke Cage Hero for Hire. Or Luke Cage Power Man, depending on your preference. And these were, it was $8 for these 3, so we're looking at like $2.30 each one. And these are the original books. I mean, like, this is number 18 and number 16. Luke Cage, his first appearance is in Luke Cage Hero for Hire number 1. And the interiors on these are alright. I took a quick look online. And he's got some great jive talk. But I think what really got me on these was the covers, because holy shit are these over the top. There's just a different level of effort on these. I think this one is Gil Kane, actually. Okay, this one is a Gil Kane cover, and it looks great. Power Man, it looks like he's out of his goddamn mind. Oh, his next blade is designed to electrocute him. This is, I wanted to get these as sort of an example of how to do covers. Because it's tough to find good examples sometimes. I mean, like, obviously there's like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of examples of covers. It's not actually hard to find how to do a cover. But, I don't know, where do you start, right? And I thought the Image guys would be a good place to figure it out, but honestly, Image covers tend to suck. Every once in a while they hit a good one, but not that often. That's got to be, yeah, because the art on these is by George Tuska, who's not, he's fine. He's like journeyman kind of guy. Oh, this is Billy Graham, which is better. But, yeah, no, these covers are fucking wild. And I'd kind of like to, I don't know, just do something in that direction. And it's cool having, like, what are these? 73? 1973? Yeah, some 1973 fucking blaxploitation comics. Shit, yeah. Marvel put out such weird shit in the 70s. It's great. And, so, really, this particular order, more than anything, kind of colors this whole order. The Iron Fist issue, ooh, that's pretty beat up. That's okay. What is this? 1975 by John Byrne. In 1975, I think I saw that. Wow. That is way before John Byrne has locked his style down. Holy shit. That doesn't look anything like John Byrne. That's nuts. Who wrote this? Chris Claremont. Right. I think I did see that. So we're seeing the X-Men team before Uncanny, before they got a chance to even come close to Uncanny. Yeah, I think Uncanny's still in reprints at this time. Okay, that's actually kind of exciting. I was kind of like, oh man, the fucking Iron Fist book. First, and then you finally actually do a little bit of research on what the fuck I bought. Okay, and next we have... So this is a new Iron Fist trade paperback. This is number 2. So is this number 1? Yes, it is. I was like, what the hell are you doing with new comics? Well, good question. So I checked this out because the Luke Cage thing, it started a chain reaction and got me down a rabbit hole. But I also started checking out some Iron Fist. And I'm like, man, there must have been a good Iron Fist at some point. And I was looking at this one, and the fight scenes look kind of wild. Like, to the point where it's like, I wonder if I should try to use some of this. Like, just how twisted dudes get. Yeah, so shit like this, where people are going for actual, like martial arts type poses, only hyperextended. Yeah, I'm just getting the kinetic thing down on paper. That's the kind of thing I think I should be trying to figure out a little bit. So, I thought I saw more examples in this online, to be honest. So maybe I'm just missing them. I don't know. So I'll take a look through those and see if I can find some interesting stuff, not to copy, but like, to just get the right vibe and see what makes it work. There's a lot of energy on these pages. So, yeah, I just think it's worth checking out. And they're not super pricey, so I figured why not. Next up. Yeah. So, like I said, that auction kind of set the tone for the rest of this book. Oh, this thing's beat right up. Is it dry? That's some wobbly paper. But this is a Chris Claremont. This is, I don't know, it's a 3-issue Chris Claremont run. I don't remember who did the art. Ed Hannigan here. No, Mike Zeck. That was it. Chris Claremont does the plot. And then Mike Zeck, I think before Master of Kung Fu, I think this is some of his first stuff. So we already saw some early John Byrne. Now we're going to see early Mike Zeck. And again, great cover. RW, who's that? It's not those aren't initials I recognize, so that could be anybody. That thing is in terrible shape. But, great cover. So there'll be a couple more of those coming. So next we have Eternal Warrior, number 3. So, this was the original idea behind the pile I had sitting when I got the auctions. Somebody left a message, comment on one of the videos saying, do you ever think about doing Valiants? And I'm like, I do, actually, particularly since Deathmate. And there's a couple here I'd like to check out. So a big part of this order is going to be some Valiants. So Eternal Warrior 1 to 3, in case I want to do a revisit of the first 3 issues. Because that's generally what I do, right? 3 in a week. Okay, next we have... this is Bloodstrike Brutalists, number 24. So, in case you don't know, Bloodstrike is it's a standard Liefeld thing in that he came up with No, that's not a standard Liefeld thing. Standard Liefeld thing is he came up with character names. And then he drew costumes, and then he handed it off to somebody else. In this case, though, what they decided was that these guys in particular were dead. They were revived. And basically you'd throw them at an enemy, they'd get killed. Most of them probably. Maybe enough of them would live long enough to kill the guy they got thrown at. And then you rejuvenate all the scraps, and you send them out again later. And this was also part of the Images of Tomorrow dealie, where they... I have Supreme, I think? Yeah, and Stormwatch, number 25. So a year and a half before these comics hit number 25, they put out number 25 as sort of, this is where this comic is going. And Bloodstrike and Brigade both put out a number 25 for the Images of Tomorrow, never got to issue 25. Nobody gives a shit about Brigade, but Michel Fiffe, who's a weird indie artist, as far as I can tell, I think thought Bloodstrike was an interesting enough idea that he should try and fill out those 2 issues. He also did Bloodstrike number 0, because I don't think there ever was one. But then he did Bloodstrike 23 and 24, and that's Bloodstrike Brutalists. And this is more playing with the concept. And I mean, he had, Liefeld's blessing on this. This is done by Extreme Studios. I think Extreme has been defunct for a while, but it's an Image publication. So, Extremists. I don't know what that means. All right. Oh, and important to note, Bloodstrike created by Rob Liefeld. Michel Fiffe didn't create these. And what does created by mean in this case? It means he designed the costumes. Same like how he created Cable in Deadpool. Yeah. He's got a weird style, and he's going to go over the top with the violence, because you should with something like this. And Liefeld would eventually get there anyway with the over-the-top, not over-the-top violence. He likes making dick jokes a lot. So that's what he finally realized, wait a minute, I'm my own publisher, I can decide what goes in my comics. So he made dick jokes. Yeah. So I got that one there. I think number 0's in here as well somewhere. This is 24. Yeah, I couldn't get 23. I don't think it was available. So what do we have here? Danger Girl, number 6. What? This was just a case of Danger Girl is a comic I may have to talk about eventually, or I may want to talk about. And it's a comic where I'm not for sure that I'll be able to track down every issue by the time I want to talk about it. So I saw this at a reasonable price. This is one of the ones I don't have. So I figured, why not? And we get a Joe Mad cover. But the interior is all Campbell. Drawings and story. Good stuff. And this is later J. Scott Campbell, where he's, I'm just going to do what the fuck I want. And pages are going to be a mess. There's going to be cheesecake shots on every single page, and there's nothing you can do about it. Yeah. No, these layouts are fucking crazy. Yeah, it's good stuff. All right, and this one here, another Power Man. This is, last one we had was 52. This is 51. Again, very involved cover. This one feels thicker than the last one. Ernie Chan. I think I've seen his stuff before, and he's not bad. This is Mike Zeck again. Chris Claremont, yes. I don't think... So I think these are the first 2 chapters in the trilogy. And I think the last one is by somebody else who isn't as good. Yeah, man, look at some of this shit. This is Mike Zeck. This feels Neil Adams influenced. Maybe. I mean, I suppose I never really looked up Mike Zeck too much. I know he's very good. I like his stuff quite a bit for like Kraven's Last Hunt. He just, his stuff's kind of awesome looking. But I don't know a whole lot about what his influences are. Man, a lot of learn to get stronger ads in Luke Cage. This is a wild spread here. Yep. Well, what is this? Star Wars action figures. What year is this? This is 78. What month? Don't say. June. So we're like maybe a year out from the Star Wars movie. We don't even really 100% know what these characters look like. And we can't get design specs. So we're just going to kind of... We're going to get... is this Al Williamson? Probably not. Produced by the Joe Kubert School of Cartoon Art. Oh, interesting. I wonder if this was somebody's, like, graduation piece. Yeah, look, they don't even know the characters. Princess Organa. Hans Solo. That's awesome. Very, very cool. All right, one more in there somewhere. Hopefully it's better than I suspect. But I mean, you know, if it's not, I kind of wanted to get that three issue series. All right, next one. There we go. That's the last one. Yeah, you can tell that's the one with the at the very least not as good cover. Like, look at this. Ernie Chan put his fucking heart in that shit. This was we need to cover quickly. Drawn by Sal Buscema. Yep. Okay. It's still pretty good. This is before Sal really has a style. He kind of looks a little bit like his brother, just not as good. Yeah, you can see like hints of it in the faces, but like nowhere near as over the top as it would be like in like the early 90s. Yeah. So just to complete those three issues, and again, I don't think this one was expensive. Next up. Aha. All right. So, again, inspired by the auction win, this was something I was looking around at, as you can see there, I was looking around at Luke Cage shit to buy, and I saw this thing, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I remember seeing ads for that. And this is a Luke Cage series by Brian Azzarello, who's a crime writer. I mean, some of you guys probably know that a lot better than I do. And drawn by Richard Corbin. And if you're not familiar with Richard Corbin is a guy who, came up mostly in the 70s, really. But he's a guy who has a very weird style. And I saw that he did this, and I'm like, oh shit, this is a 5-issue Luke Cage series by Richard Corbin and a fucking guy who writes crime novels. I think I'm in. Yeah, Corbin puts a lot of texture on every page. On every page. Look at that shit. And then, the dude has been, at this point, this is in 96, 97, 99 maybe? 2002. Oh. So, he's been drawing for, 30 years. And, been regarded as one of the masters for 30 years. The dude knows how to draw, and then he just he just likes to draw guys with short limbs and big heads sometimes. And he do these weird ass fucking faces. But he also likes doing some very exact shadows. He'll use models and stuff. And look at all this vein work on there. That's awesome. And then, so you see all that, which is just wild shit. And it's half using references, half just out of Richard Corbin's brain. And then you see, Tim Bradstreet. And it's oh, it's not a photo. Oh, right. Gotcha. There's skill, definitely. I'm not going to say Tim Bradstreet isn't skilled. It's just shit's boring. It all looks the same. I remember being a kid and being like, man, that's like exactly what he would look. Well, that's exactly what his model looked like. Yeah, because he didn't change anything. So yeah, we're gonna get some. This is the Marvel Max line, so we're gonna get some down and dirty Luke Cage shit. This is another one I may do a revisit on eventually. We'll see if I feel comfortable with, like, you know, like feel like I know what I'm talking about at all. Next up, Magnus Robot Fighter #1. I think this was one of the more expensive ones at like $6. And this was one of the 3 purchases Valiant made to kick off their company at the behest of Jim Shooter. They decided they needed some established properties, so they purchased Gold Key, and they got Solar, they got Turok, and they got Magnus. So, one of those things I can potentially talk about. Interesting. Is that cards I'm supposed to cut out? I think it is. That thing's in rough shape. I mean, it's a 30-year-old comic, yeah. Slightly better color than they would do later. Slightly. This is very, very early on, though. But still, I have Magnus Robot Fighter #1. I think that's cool. Next up, Archer and Armstrong #1. With the Frank Miller cover. I think each of the titles has a Frank Miller cover during his Sin City days, 92. And Archer and Armstrong is written by Jim Shooter and drawn by Barry Windsor Smith. At least #1 is. So that's pretty wild. That at least will be fun to go through. I was able to get a couple of issues of Archer and Armstrong. Magnus, I think I just got the one. It's tough, because you got to decide which titles you want to invest in a little bit. You know, like, I can't go too hard on Solar, because every once in a while, just randomly, an issue will cost like $20, $30, $50, which is way more than I'm willing to spend on a single comic book. Next up, Bloodstrike Brutalist #0. I'm like, wait a minute, I got Liefeld? Yes, well, no, he did one of the alternate covers. When did I get the Fife cover? Was there a Fife cover? Extremists. I see Ed Piskor in here. Did he contribute to the art or the color? I wonder what that means. This is the kind of thing, if I can get Brutalists #23, I could see doing a revisit rather, further down the line. That would be cool. And I mean, this would be way more interesting than some of the mid-tier Blood Strikes, where nobody gave a shit anymore. So this is #0 specifically. A lot of comics in here. Not too much of it looks like Ed Piskor. Nothing really that I can see. So I don't know what that means. Maybe inking? I can't tell. I don't know Ed Piskor super well, but you know. That looks like Ed Piskor. Yep, there we go. A Dutch solo adventure in the pages of Team Young Blood. This blood's for you. Okay, so just people who added in some support shit. The fuck's up with that arm, Ed? I think that's on purpose. Ed Piskor knows how to draw some shit. If he's fucking things up, he's doing it on purpose. Next up, we have Eternal Warrior #2. We already had #3. Is #1 in here? I guess we'll never find out. This is another one. Feels kind of thick. Written by Jim Shooter. Jim Shooter wrote a lot of this shit at the beginning. Eternal Warrior is one of those concepts that's just like very basic and a lot of potential to be pretty good. It's all in the name. He's a warrior who cannot die. Not a bad cover for... Oh, there we go, Simonson. That makes sense then. I'm thinking like, damn, that's way better than they're usually able to do. Yes, it is. for comparison, there's Eternal Warrior number 3. I can't tell who drew that, but I'm pretty sure it's not Walt Simonson. Next up, Rye number 1. Is that David Lapham? It is, too. Or Lapham? That is not. That looks pretty good. That did not. This is where David Lapham started out, I believe, on Harbinger. So who does this anyway? This was one of those ones, it was a bit of a... I had to kind of talk myself into buying this. Because it feels like one of their foundational books. You know, Rye is still around. More so than Shadow Man. I almost never saw anything to do with Shadow Man. But like, issue 1 I think was $6. It's like, alright. Joe St. Pierre. I am familiar with that name from Deathmate. I believe he was one of the ones who was not that great. Written by David Michelinie. So that might be okay. Next up, Eternal Warrior number 1. With, I think, a better Frank Miller cover. Yep. And this is just, you get Eternal Warrior's origin here, where, yeah, he's a warrior who cannot die. And he loves fighting. It's like, you know what? I can buy it. Or, you know, maybe by the time 4 millennia have passed, he doesn't love fighting anymore. But feels like, you know, well, I've kind of been fighting for 4 millennia. I'm kind of good at it. Maybe I should just keep doing that. So, interesting to see where that goes. A lot of places it could. So that's Eternal Warrior 1 to 3. That is a revisit there if I decide to do that. Next up, Archer and Armstrong number 0. So I did not go 1 to 3 with Archer and Armstrong. I went 0 to 2. Written by Bob Layton and Jim Shooter. Oh, story by Bob Layton and Jim Shooter. Written by Jim Shooter. Penciled by Barry Windsor-Smith. Good shit. You're going to go and advertise Wizard in your comic, Jim? That's all right. Next up, Solar, Man of the Atom number 2. I feel like I kind of did this in a deflating order. I think this is also... No, the cover's by Barry Windsor-Smith. But no, that is not drawn by BWS. Part 2. No hint about who drew it. Yeah. David Perlin. Not a writer, not an artist I'm familiar with. Okay. But in the middle, you do get some of Solar number 0, effectively. Which is written and drawn by Barry Windsor-Smith. And he ain't fucking around. And it's on, like, cardstock. That's interesting. The rest of the book is not. Yeah, this is not Barry Windsor-Smith phoning it in. This is, I mean, he's not trying to create great art. This is like Weapon X Barry Windsor-Smith. Next up, Archer and Armstrong number 2. So that's all the Archer and Armstrongs, all the Eternal Warriors. Jim Shooter and Barry Windsor-Smith. Again, good stuff. Okay, Archer and Armstrong at least gave you some bang for your buck. Oh, is that Turok? It is. Interesting. Yeah, this feels like a bit more like, yeah, Barry Windsor-Smith is just kind of putting down what they say in the script. Not thinking about it too hard. That's okay. Barry Windsor-Smith cashing a paycheck is still better than, like, I don't know, 99% of the artists out there, so it's fine. Okay, next up. Solar Man of the Atom number 1. That is an impressive looking cover. And again, so the 0 is by Barry Windsor Smith. What about the number 1? No. Okay. So is this David Perlini again? David Perlin. Where'd I get Perlini from? I believe from the Mighty Ducks, actually. Yeah, but you still get some BWS in here. With the cover and the Solar number 0. And I mean, it's Solar number 1. It's pretty good shit. That's a bit of an iconic cover, actually. It's nice to have, finally. And finally, last of the order, Master of Kung Fu 118. So, this is not in bad shape. That's okay. It's not like mint or anything, but that is all right. Yeah. So this is a comic I did have when I was younger. I have no idea why. But this is big old double-sized Master of Kung Fu comic. This is the last of the Gene Day Shang-Chi's. Gene Day's a dude. Didn't have the most, maybe the most marketable style, but that's a dude who loved to draw some shit. And understood drawing comics, I think. And poured it out on the fucking page. There's so much thought put into some of these pages. Like this sequence here. I don't know if you... This was featured on Cartoonist Kayfabe. But this sequence, which is a street, kind of. Yes. You can see like the Escher steps coming up here. And these two, you know, kind of following them up the street and then down the steps again. There's a lot of thought put into the backgrounds. There's a lot of lines here. And somehow he kept a monthly schedule, I think. I don't know how. Did he do the inks too? Tell me he didn't. He fucking did. You fucking lunatic. And as I said, this is the last of the Gene Day Shang-Chi's. Look at this. This is something Dave Sim. Dave Sim was a friend of Gene Day, and because they're both Kitchener artists, and they would hang out together and draw comic books. And this kind of sequence is exactly the kind of thing Dave Sim would put in Cerebus, with this moment-to-moment stuff. And oh my god. Even imagine drawing that shit? And it just keeps going. And this is a double-sized issue. Like, fuck off. Just fuck off. And Gene Day would die a few months after producing this issue, at the age of 32, from a heart attack while crossing the street. That's fucked up. I wonder how much of it is just forcing himself to churn out pages with insane amounts of detail. Man, oh man. But yeah, Gene Day was a guy who, what was it? When Dave Sim was learning how to draw, they'd be drawing in the same room. And Dave Sim would be like, man, I suck at drawing hands. And Gene Day would kind of wander over and he'd look over his shoulder and be like, it's a Dave Sim hand. And then he'd walk back to his table and he'd get back to drawing. He's like, oh, yeah. Yeah, no, maybe I should just draw some hands. All right, so that is it for this particular order. Yeah, a little bit bigger than usual. Probably more than I should have ordered, but, you know, you get in a groove sometimes ordering. I missed having this comic, man. And this one's in better shape than the one I had before. But holy shit, the amount of detail on the page. It's so good. All right. So there will be a follow-up order to this because, you know, when I place an order from my comic shop, there's only so much I'm going to try to get there because the prices get out of control kind of quick with the exchange rate and the shipping and all that. So filling in the blanks is done through CapCan. So I did place one of those orders. That should show up in like a week or so. So I'll let you guys know when I get that. Yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye.